Hello everyone. We'll continue with where we have left. Yesterday we finished up to Unit 3. Today Unit 4. In Unit 4, that is biotechnology and its application, the total weightage of marks is 10. And in Unit 4, you have two chapters: biotechnology, principle and processes. Okay, biotechnology and its processes, and number 2 you have biotechnology and its application. So from there, the total weightage of marks is 10. So probability for last 5 years and before to that, some of the question which has been repeated. So you will try to focus on those questions which has repeatedly come and try to make notes of it. Okay. First one, briefly describe the technique employed in DNA fingerprinting. Sometimes write notes on DNA fingerprinting, application of DNA fingerprinting, and here describe the technique employed in DNA fingerprinting. That isolation is there, fragment is there, then after that renaturation, all that processes whichever there, 7 or 8, 9 points are there, you have to write about that. Number 2, explain how insulin can be produced using recombinant DNA technology. Okay, human cell, then after that the chromosome is taken out, DNA is taken out, then after that by cleavage those DNA segments are taken out, then after that it is in the Escherichia coli, plasmid is taken out, then from that plasmid a part of it is cut out, removed, and then inserted, okay, by after inserting by a vector, okay, then after that you are putting that DNA segment, all that part, and then from there after that hybridization and those processes, okay, explain how insulin can be produced. This also has come in the year 2015. Give an account of the blue-white method of selection of recombinants. Okay, some of the inserted vectors, when they are processed, then one with the inserted vectors will turn blue in color and the one that is not inserted is white. So that is blue and white method of selection. This has come in the year 2018. So try to go through these things also. Give the significance of transgenic organism. Okay, the organism which has been genetically manipulated, and what is the significance, what is the advantage of transgenic animals, you have to write about that. What is recombinant DNA technology? That means all this transgenic organism has been formed by recombinant DNA technology. So list the step involved. So for recombinant DNA technology, what are the steps? Those steps you have to write down, okay, like all that restriction, endonuclease, all that part is there, isolation, then after that cleaving, then inserting, then using a vector, all that process you have to write in this. What is Bt cotton? Bacillus thuringiensis, okay, Bacillus thuringiensis, they produce a cry protein, and it acts as one type of bio pesticides. That means this Bt cotton is resistant towards a type of pesticide. It produces a cry protein. What is GEAC and what are the objective? Okay, that is genetically engineered approval community. What it is role? What are its objective means? What is the purpose of setting up this GEAC? Control on all that biopatents, biopiracy, okay, on genetically modified crops. Okay, for that the committee has been set up, and what are their objectives that you have to write down. What are bioreactors? Okay, all the proteins, all the type of biochemical engineered products due to biotechnology. Okay, those reactors are bioreactors. So in this you have to the question also has come regarding the setup of the apparatus, each and every components of that apparatus also, and its utility and its process and how it is being done. Another one, write short notes on gene therapy, biopiracy, biopatent, and so many short notes type of terms are there. Try to go through in this chapter. Next, Unit 5, that is the last one, Ecology and Environment. And in Ecology and Environment, there are altogether 4 chapters. Okay. Number 1, you have Organism and Population. Then you have Ecosystem. Then you have Biodiversity and its Conservation and Environmental Issues. Okay. 4 chapters comes under this Unit 5, Ecology and Environment, and the total weightage of marks is 15. So here more or less this is subjective, okay, question. State the consequences of population growth. This is very much in class 10 also you have learned about it. And those what will be the consequences due to population growth, all that factors you have to write down, all the points. Write a short note on CHIPCO movement. Okay, short notes, as well as elaborate one, I think one question is being repeated out here. Explain CHIPCO movement in detail. Now this will be of 5 marks. Okay, write short note, I think usually it has come 2 or 3 marks. Discuss the various in situ and ex situ strategies for conservation of biodiversity. So sometimes what will happen, only in situ is asked. Okay, write short note on in situ or on ex situ, but here discuss the various in situ and ex situ strategies for conservation of biodiversity. So in situ, what are the different types? Ex situ, what are the different types? And what are their strategies? Means why in situ is formed and why ex situ is formed. Those strategies and for what they are, actually what they are for, what type of conservation, why the conservation. Okay, all that you have to write down in question number 3. This one I told you, write a short note on joint forest management. Okay, this has come in the year 2018. Explain Earth Summit on biological diversity. So in that there are other categories also in Earth Summit. You try to see that what are the different types of proposal made in that Earth Summit. Number 7, give a detailed account of the causes of loss of biodiversity, the different causes for the loss of biodiversity. Give an account. One thing, keep it in mind, account. What does it mean? I will let you know after this slide. Number 8, write a short note on red data book, then hotspot, biosphere reserve. From this chapter you have conformation, suspension, diapause, okay, homeostasis in a short notes. Like I have not given question of 1 marks or 2 marks, okay, but usually from this chapter maximum question has come, so try to go through it thoroughly. Now these are some of the question which has come from unit 5. Okay, now from this question you came you are acquainted with some of the terminology like account, list, enumerate. Okay, so in that question what you are going to write. Okay, straightforward question will be like what is biodiversity? Okay, list some of the causes of biodiversity, like that type of question. But there are certain question like give an account. Then what does that account mean? Okay, let's see the next slide. Like in these cases, give an account of Darwin Finches, or it can be like discuss Darwin Finches, describe Darwin Finches. It can be, but here what does that give an account of Darwin Finches? First let's try to understand the meaning of account. Okay, where often we have heard the word account. Account means your bank account. So there what you will find? You will find that whatever the money you go under transaction, okay, you deposit the money, you take it out, then money brought forward, balance left, all that gives a complete details about your transaction. So similarly out here, give an account of Darwin Finches. That means Darwin on a voyage to Galapagos Island, he saw several native bird. So from that bird, what he saw, when he saw, and after seeing, after observation, what he drew the conclusion, each and every details from the first to the last, you have to write in details. That you call it as account. So that means writing in detail from first to last, giving emphasis on each and every point. Okay, that is called as account. So whenever you are making a notes, any question where there the word is account, always try to keep it in mind that you have to write in details. You have to give a overall view. So like in this question, how the answer is like, say Darwin studied the flora, fauna, that is plant, animal, and environmental condition of Galapagos Island. When he studied? During his voyage around the world. So this is giving a clear picture that he studied about the plant, animal, and the environmental condition of that place during his voyage. These islands are a set of 14 islands. Okay, there are 14 islands. 600 miles away from the west coast of South America in the Pacific Ocean. So this is also giving you the details of the geographical location. They have variable environment. That means all that 14 islands have different temperature conditions, soil condition is different. Darwin called this island the living laboratories of evolution. That means in 14 different islands, due to different climatological factor, he found different types of flora and fauna. So it made him think like he is doing an experiment. Like whenever you do experiment, you put you are taking one petri dish, you have a different solution, medium condition, temperature is different. Another petri dish also you have different medium condition and temperature is different. So like that only you are having a natural. So for that he named it as what? Living laboratories of evolution. Then after that, from there, what he observed? He observed 20 different but related varieties of bird in this island. That means 20 different birds are similar, dissimilar in the appearance. He observed 20 different but related varieties of bird in this island, which mainly differed on their beaks. That means the shape of the beak, the size of the beak. Okay, some of them they used to feed on the worms, some they used to feed on the seed, some on the pulp, some on the nectars. So according to that, okay, according to the different types of plant, according to you have the different types of bird, but of the same type. Now, beak shape and size and color of the plumage. Plumage means the tail. Okay, in them he found a quite dissimilar, but all of them they belong to the same genera. Okay, these birds are now called Darwin Finches. Since he observed only on this bird and all, and he wanted to find it out why there is similarity and dissimilarity, so he called it as what? Darwin Finches. So from here what you are having? You are getting a clear image like what is his observation. Then after that, the bird fauna of this island show affinity with the American species, but Darwin finches differ considerably from the American finches. What you find in the American native land, that was different, and what Darwin observed was different. However, then from there what he drew the conclusion, however, a related species of Darwin finches was reported from the mainland. That means what he observed, the same type of bird, similar type of bird was observed in the mainland. Then from there what he drew the conclusion, Darwin thus concluded that that means after observing, this is his what he did. Then after that, Darwin thus concluded that the American mainland species was the original. Darwin thus concluded that the American mainland species was the original one from which different forms migrated to the different island of Galapagos and adapted to different environmental conditions. That means from the American mainland, that was the original one. From there, these finches must have gone to the different island due to different geographical factors, environmental factors, food factors can be anything. Okay, due to that, different islands of Galapagos and adapted to different environmental conditions. These adapted forms became a new species, and from the mainland, where 14 different island, 20 different types of he observed. All that 20 different types of finches were different in respect of their morphological features. Depending upon the food habit, this organism were different from one another in their morphological features. Okay, so these adapted forms became a which species? New species. Now, from here, what he drew finally what he now finally put the evidence that thus Darwin Finches provide a good example of adaptive radiation supporting the concept of evolution. That means from here he drew the conclusion that it is a type of which radiation? Adaptive radiation. That means all that 14 different, okay, from the mainland, the 20 different finches, okay, were all different from one another, and from one mainland, American mainland, to different 14 different island, he found 20 different species or 20 different species of these finches, which was different. And by this what he came to know, it was called as which radiation? Adaptive radiation. All these 14 more or less has been migrated from one place, from one mainland. So this gives a convergent also, and this gives a adaptive radiation also. Okay. So thus Darwin Finches provide a good example of adaptive radiation. That means organism, these finches adapted to 14 different islands, they were different from one another. So it gives one type of convergent evolution also. Convergent, you see 14 of them from one, they got migrated to 14 different islands. So it gives convergent also, and it gives divergent also. From one they diverted, okay, 14 different island, 20 different type of finches. So this is one example I have given, like whenever the question comes like account, then give the overall view. Next, let's see the next question, that is trace the development, okay, of pollen from microsporocyte. Now trace, what do you mean by trace? Whenever we say trace, trace means follow, okay, trace the path, trace map, whatever it is, we follow it. That means trace the development of, okay, development of what? Pollen from where? From microsporocyte. So you see that usually what will happen in a pollen sac, okay, like this structure. Epidermis, then after that endothecium, okay, middle layer, okay, tapetum, and then these are the sporogenous cell, okay. Now here microspore mother cell also you can call it, okay. So from here one cell, now what will happen? One cell will undergo mitotic division, two cells will get formed, okay. This one is the sporogenous cell, the upper one, okay, upper parachimeter cells that will undergo division, and then it will lead to the formation of epidermis, endothecium, middle layer, and tapetum. You are not going to describe about this part. About this sporogenous cell, okay, from here how they get converted to pollen grain. So what will happen? This will undergo meiotic division, and then what will get formed? Tetrads will get formed, okay, tetrads will get formed, okay, it will go under meiotic division. Which cell? Sporogenous cell. Sporogenous cell will go under meiotic division. Now one of these cells, what will happen? This will be filled with cytoplasm, nucleus, okay. Later on again what will happen? A plug will get formed due to asymmetric spindle fiber, asymmetric spindle fiber. What will happen? One cell will be smaller, another cell will be bigger. you call it as vegetative cell, you call it as generative cell. Okay. Then after that, slowly what will happen? Then you will find like this structure getting formed. Okay. The outer part you call it as exine, inner part you call it as intine. Okay. Generative cell, vegetative cell and generative cell. So, this is the development of, and finally what will happen? This will give rise to pollen grain. So, this you have in your book the diagram. Now, how you are going to write? That means from here you have to trace the development. Okay. Trace the development. That means how you have to write now. Now, you see, trace the development of pollen from microsporocyte. Microsporocyte undergoes mitosis to increase the number of functional microspore mother cells which are diploid. Okay. So, from here, okay, parenchymatous cell, then archisporial cell or archegonial cells will divide into two. One part will go for the formation of the pollen sac, and the inner part of the cell, that is the sporogenous cell, will undergo for the formation of microsporocytes or pollen grain. Now, which are what? Diploid in nature. Now, number 2, each microspore mother cell undergoes which? Meiosis to form a 4 haploid microsphere. That means this will undergo, that means the lower part of it, will undergo meiotic division. 4 tetrads will get formed. Okay. And when it undergoes meiotic division, haploid microspores gets formed. All microspore remain enclosed in a common wall as tetrads. Okay. So, they remain in a common wall 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, from there one of them will go under development. Then what will happen? At maturity, the wall between the adjacent microsporangium disintegrate, they separate. The microspores become separate and enlarge, they become bigger. Each pollen grain develops 2 walls, an outer exine and an inner intine. Okay. So, exine and intine. Nucleus divide mitotically to form a large vegetative nucleus. Due to asymmetric spindle fiber, one of the cell will be bigger, one of the cell will be smaller. So, nucleus divides mitotically to form a large vegetative nucleus and a small generative nucleus. Then after that, at this stage, anthers, deices and pollen grains are liberated. Now, after exine, intine, the vegetative, the generative gets formed. This one is the matured pollen grains. So, that means from the microsporocytes till the development of the pollen grain, how it is formed, whenever the question comes, trace each and every event you have to describe it. Next one, write a brief note on interferon. Now, you see, write a brief note. That means what you all know about interferon. Brief note, that means overall. Okay, you should give a very clear image about what is all about interferon. Write a note on interferon. Write a brief note on interferon. That means, what is interferon? A special defense system works against viral infection in the body. It has no effect on the other microorganism. The cells invaded by a virus produce an antiviral protein called as interferon. Suppose, say for example, any cell, any part of our body cell, suppose say this cell is infected. Okay, this is the infected cell. Infected cell. Okay, this cell has been infected. Now, what will happen? This has been infected by a virus. So, what will happen? This will also try to develop a protein to defend. Okay. So, this protein, when I say, that means it is defending protein, you call it as immunoglobulin. Okay, immunoglobulin, abbreviated as IG. Okay, immunoglobulin. That means it will try to produce a protein to defend it, to stop it, to resist it. This protein, when it is secreted, okay, this protein that is secreted goes to the other cell, and it wants the other cell. The other cell also will try to produce a necessary protein so that the virus will not affect these uninfected cells. That means this produced a viral protein, okay, antiviral protein. That protein goes to the uninfected cell, and the other uninfected cell will also try to produce a protein so that it will not get affected by the virus. That means it is one type of alarm signal. It is one type of, you can say, the cells are becoming conscious enough so that there is a chance it will be attacked by a virus. So this protein that is secreted by this infected cell, what do you call it? You call it as interferon. The cells invaded by a virus produce an antiviral protein called as interferon. It is released from the infected and dying cell. This cell is dying, but when it is dying, before to that, what it will produce? It will produce an antiviral protein. On reaching the uninfected cells, on reaching the, this is uninfected, okay, these cells are uninfected cells. It makes them to develop a resistance against the viral infection. That means this is dying, this is already dead, but so that it will protect its adjoining cell, so that the other cells do not get infected. This resistance is provided by the formation of certain protein which prevent further multiplication of the virus. That means this virus, when it is multiplying it, trying to cause damage to the other cells become prepared, okay, and the other cells got a chance to prepare only when these infected cells produce a interferon chemical compound. So it is one type of signal, okay, giving signal to the other uninfected cells, normal cells, so that they can be alert, they can be active, they can produce a necessary immunoglobulin protein so that they remain uninfected. Okay, so this you call it as what? Interferon. So this overall, you are giving the overall clear image about what is interferon. So whenever the question comes, brief note, try to write in this manner. Don't end up up to there only. Special protein, defense system work against viral infection, and that is called as interferon. Only 1 point you will get it, okay, but here you get maximum point. Next one, what are the main objectives of conservation? Okay, main objective. Now you see the out here, main objective. That means why conservation is necessary. Okay, why? So they can be innumerable point. So what are the main objective? From that, so many is there, but whatever from there, whatever is the main one. Don't try to repeat the sentence. Okay, like out here you are writing protection of wildlife in their natural habitat. Another sentence, suppose you are writing protection of wild animals, sounds same thing. Okay, protection of plants, sounds the same thing, but protection of flora, fauna, animals, bird, you just make a long sentence. You add up with so many sub-part. Okay, end up with what? Protection of wildlife in their natural habitat. Even if you write protection of wild animals, protection of flora, protection of fauna, will be counted as one, because flora, fauna, everything microorganism comes under wildlife. So you wrote 3-4 point, but it will be counted as only one. So thereby you see that by wildlife only it includes everything. Now next point, preservation of ecosystem, all ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, and different types of ecosystem. You are writing preservation of ecosystem, then water aquatic ecosystem, terrestrial ecosystem, okay, like that. No, preservation of ecosystem which causes preservation at each level. Then setting up national park and sanctuaries. Some student, what do? Setting up national park, 1 point, setting up sanctuaries. End up with one sentence, setting up national park and sanctuaries. 1. Maintenance and care of which species? Threatened species. The species whose number are declining, whose number will decline, okay, due to several factors, you call it as threatened species. Maintenance and care of threatened species. Maintenance of life supporting system. Maintenance of life supporting system. What are there? Air, water and land. Okay, lithosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. So those things are the life supporting system. But many of you see what many students, what do they write? Maintenance of life supporting system air. Another point, maintenance of life supporting system water, like that. No, maintenance of life supporting system air, water and land included. 1 point. Preservation of threatened and endangered species, the species which are endangered, okay, which are likely to go under extinction, you call it as endangered species. Preventing over exploitation of natural resources. So here also what will happen? Over exploitation of natural resources includes each and everything. Avoiding introduction of alien species, that means you see that the original habitat is destroyed and then you are putting up a new species, okay, that you call it as what? Introduction of alien species. Okay, alien species means that when you see that a natural habitat, whichever the organism, whichever the flora fauna exists in that region, you are removing that, and in place of that you are putting some other crop plants, you are putting some other trees, you are putting some other animals, flora and fauna. What do you call it? Avoiding introduction of alien species. So these are the objective. Protection of migratory animals. Then the last one, integrating the national conservation program. That means all the conservation program needs to be collaborated properly, so that what these are some of the objectives of conservation. Okay, so whenever this question comes, try to avoid that there is no repetition of points. Next one, list the salient features of human genome. Okay, so salient features. Now you see this word, salient features. Salient features. What do you mean by here? List the characteristic features. List the salient features. You must have come across, there are certain questions where there is a characteristic feature. Then you have come across, list the characteristic, list the salient features. Now what do you mean by salient features? Salient features means that whichever the character of features that is observable, okay, that is observed by the researcher, and those points you have to list down. It can be innumerable points, but from there whichever the character that was observed by the researcher, that you have to write down. So here you see that the human genome has 3.1647 billion base pair, average gene size is 3000 base pair, total number of gene present in the human genome is 30,000, okay. Then maximum number of gene present in the chromosome 2968, and the least number in the Y chromosome. Chromosome 1 is 2968, and in chromosome Y it is 231 genes. This has been observed. 99.9% of nucleotide base are same in all human being. Only 0.1% with 3.2 million nucleotides represent the variability observed in the human being. Only 0.1% only there is a difference in the human being. Otherwise 99.9% the nucleotides are same in all human being. Number F, function of more than 50% of the discovered gene is not known. So this has been observed. Okay. Repeated sequence of DNA nucleotide make up a major portion of the genome, and only less than 2% code for the protein. Okay, only 2% code for the protein. Okay. Repetitive sequence do not have any direct coding structure function. They provide information of coding structure, dynamics and evolution. That means each of the protein has their own code. Okay, they code for a particular protein, and this also plays a very important role in terms of evolution. About 1.4 million locations have been identified where, and when I say about 1.4 million location has been identified where single base DNA difference occur in the human genome. How many? 1.4 million location of the gene has been identified. About 1 million copies of short 5 to 8 base pair repeated sequence are clustered around. Okay, so 1 million copies of short 5 to 8 base pair has been clustered around the centromere and near the end of each chromosome, which you call it as junk DNA. Okay, so these are the information, those are things that has been observed by the researcher. Anything that is being observed by the researcher, that you have to, that is called as what? Salient features. There may be so many other points also, but these features were observed by the scientists. That is why list the salient features of the human genome. Next one. Now, before to that, you came across the question, list the salient features, list. So many, but observable features were salient features. Now here again you see, enumerate. Enumerate the correct, enumerate the role of hormones in the menstrual cycle. Now here you see, enumerate. What do you mean by the word enumerate? Enumerate also means list. But enumerate out here means that one after the other. Okay, one after the other. That means first which one, then second which one, then third which one. In list, the 1, 2, 3, 4, you have 8 points are there. 7 point can be written as 1 also. 6 point can be written in place of 3 also. That means you can write from lower to up also. Question number that 7 point could have been written in 1 also, whatever it is. But whenever the question of enumerate will come, then you have to write in sequence. Like suppose say for example here, role of hormone in the menstrual cycle. Number 1 is follicle stimulating hormone, stimulates growth of selected ovarian follicles and maturation of the primary oocyte, stimulates follicle cells of the Graafian follicle to secrete estrogen. Then after that then after that you see that on the 10th day of the menstrual cycle, luteinizing hormone, okay, induces the Graafian follicle to burst and eject the egg into the fallopian tube, leading to the formation of corpus luteum. Okay. Then after the corpus, after the ovum is released and corpus luteum gets formed, then after that what happens? Okay. Now before to that we have come across list. Okay, here enumerate. So progesterone maintains hypertrophy of endometrial lining. Lining in the uterus and fallopian tube, required for proper implantation of the fetus. That means this progesterone is required for the implantation of the fetus also. Inhibits the release of follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, thereby no more follicles will be released during that time, because when the progesterone becomes high, the follicle stimulating hormone needs to be decreased. It needs to be stopped. Inhibits means stop. Stimulates endometrium lining to secrete nutrient fluid for the fetus. That means due to progesterone only, it will start the endometrium lining will secrete a nutrient fluid for the fetus. So here suppose say for example, if I write this progesterone above, follicle stimulating down, okay, luteinizing hormone, then you see that it does not give a good sequence. So to write in a correct sequence, first what sequence is there? First sequence is follicle stimulating hormone, then second is luteinizing hormone, the third one is progesterone. So you are listing it, you are writing it, but in the correct order, in the correct event. Whereas simply when the question comes list, then randomly you can write down. Okay, any point can be haphazard in nature. But in enumerate the role of hormone, then try to write it in the correct sequence. Now, next one, what are the application of tissue culture? Here application means where it is implemented, for what reason it is implemented, why they are implemented, what is the in which field it is being used, whatever it sounds. Okay, so following are the main application of tissue culture and the technique. Why tissue culture? That means another way of asking is why tissue culture is done. Okay, simple way to understand. So it is applied for rapid multiplication of desirable and rare plants. Any rare plants that you want in, you require fast, you require quick, you require easy growth, you require in large scale. For that, it helps in the production of indefinite number of plants. So within a short period of time, you get an indefinite number of plants, whereas in the conventional system, like fruiting, then after that seed, then you sow, then it takes a long period of time, and it is all environmental factor. Here everything is done in the lab. Okay, one cell taken out, okay, then you culture it, callus, plantulate, all that, totipotensive I am talking about, then you get innumerable plants within a short period of time. It is useful for obtaining large number of haploid and homozygous diploid of same type of plant, you will get it. Okay. It is also useful for genetic improvement of useful and desirable, whatever the plant of your interest, you are getting it through micropropagation by tissue culture. So, where often it is used, okay, where it is implemented, for what reason it is implemented, when that means when the application is coming, you indirectly have to understand its implementation is used in different fields, okay, for what purpose. Okay, so these are the some of the question that you have to keep it in your mind and try to make notes, read the question properly. Good luck for your exam. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome back. Today I'm going to continue with the topics which I had stopped in the last episode. Okay, as you know it, we were doing the revision for geography or the recap of ISC 2020. Okay, and I had in the last previous classes, I think I had discussed with you all the format, the question pattern, and we were discussing the different units, okay, where the 20 chapters of geography was been divided into different units, and each unit containing which chapters and how the questions, how the question, type of question that comes, and what are the possible questions, okay, that is likely to come in those chapters. Now, once again, before I start continuing with it, let me just tell you the question that I have written, okay, after each unit, the possible question that I have written down. Now, please remember, okay, these are the possible questions, important questions. Like this, there are many other questions also, but possible question does not mean that the student should prepare only those topics and sit for their exams, okay. Now, please go through the entire thing. Now, these are the common questions which are usually repeated. That is what I'm going to tell you all, okay, or that is what I'm telling you all. So, but totally don't depend on those questions only. Okay, now we will start with unit 4. I had finished till unit 3 and now I'm going to start with unit 4. Now, under unit 4, you have transport and communication, industries and tourism industry, okay. Now, when you're talking about this industry here, here you have agro-based industries as well as mineral-based industries, and then you have tourism. Tourism is also one of the most flourishing, okay, industries that has been there in our country today. It's booming, okay. So, from this unit, again, you will get two sets of questions. Okay, one set of question is totally from transport and communication, and another set of question is from industries. Both included agro, mineral, and tourism industries. Okay, so the first thing that you have to study is when you start with the transport and communication. Okay, the first thing that you have to know is the different modes of transportation that you have, the means of transportation that you have in the country. Okay, like you have railways, you have roadways, then you have waterways, inland and coastal waterways, airways. Okay, pipelines also a part of transport system. Okay, then for each and every mode of transportation that you have to know the advantages and the disadvantages. At least 3 advantages and 3 disadvantages are very, very important. Okay, and then you also have to know what are the factors that has favored the development of different modes of transportation. Like, for example, when you're talking about the railways, you'll find the northern plains of our country having a good dense network of railway lines. So what are the factors that has helped? Like, for example, it's a flat surface, okay, the flat level land, which helps the constructions of railway lines. Beside this, agriculture has been flourishing there. It's because of agriculture, industrialization is taking places. Okay, so that has also helped that has also helped railways to develop. So like these factors are at least 2 to 3 factors are very, very important. Okay, and then you come to the next mode of transportation, like roads. Okay, so when I'm explaining all about the road, possible questions from roads is, classification of roads. Under classification of roads, national highways, okay, under this you have to know this golden quadrilateral. Okay, what do you mean by golden quadrilateral? These are the super express highways with 4 lanes or 6 lanes. Okay, so it's golden quadrilateral, and the most important thing about this is that it connects the 4 metropolitan cities of our country. Okay, and like you have Kolkata to Chennai, and from Chennai to Mumbai, and from Mumbai back to Delhi. So that forms the 4 points of the quadrilateral. Okay, you have to know that. And another one is commonly asked as north-south corridor and the east-west. That is from Jammu and Kashmir in the north to Kanyakumari. Okay, and when that north-south corridor is being made, at least you have to know 2 to 3 terminals that is in between. Okay, that the road crosses through, important 2 towns or important 2 cities that it crosses through, 2 or 3. Okay, and same way it goes to east to west, Silchar in Assam to the Porbandar in Gujarat. So that is very important. And beside that, distribution of other roads like border roads, district roads and all, you just have to go through that. Okay, advantage and disadvantage, again, it's very, very important. Then you come to waterways. Okay, when you do the waterways, okay, before you come to the waterways, another important question, is what do you mean by density of road? Okay, length of a road per square kilometers. Okay, that's density of road. The definition is given in the textbook. Where do you find the density of road more, whether it is in the northern part of India or in the southern part of India? That is important. Okay, and another important thing is like when you're doing this roads. Okay, roads are of 2 types. Surface road and unsurfaced road. So, or you can also say metal road or unmetal road. And then one of the common questions that they will ask you is that why do you find more of metal road in South India and less of metal road in North India? Also, although northern part of our country has good network of transport system, you'll mostly find unmetal roads there. But most of the metal roads are in the southern regions of our country. So they might ask you why. So in that case, explanation is very important. These type of questions might be there in the question paper. So when you explain it, you have to write that in the southern regions of our country, you'll find more of metal roads. The reason behind is because of the easy availability of raw materials. Whatever material that has been required for the construction of these roads are easily available in the southern regions of our country. So like this, there are other questions related to the roads also, so please go through that. Then you come to waterways. Now when you talk about the waterways, you have inland waterways and coastal waterways. So one of the most common question is 3 different inland water highways, inland waterways, okay, that has been constructed in the Ganga River and Brahmaputra River, and you have to know that 3 important inland waterways. And then you come to the coastal waterways, that is through the ports and the harbors that you have in the coastal areas. So when you do the coastal waters, or when you're doing this coastal waterways, you have to remember the ports. Okay, there are around 13 ports that has been located in the coastlines of our country. Okay, and the items of import and items of export of those ports are very, very important. Along with this, you also have to know the hinterland of the port, at least 2 or 3 hinterlands of this port, and the importance of some of the ports that has been constructed. Like for example, you have the Jawaharlal Nehru port. What is the significance of this Jawaharlal Nehru port? And the reason is like to ease the congestion that has been there in the port of Mumbai. Okay, Jawaharlal Nehru or the Nhava Sheva port has been constructed. The same goes to the Haldia port, which has been constructed to ease the congestion that was there in the port of Kolkata. So like this, you have to remember. Okay, and then you come to another mode of transportation, that is airways. You have to know the domestic and international airways. Okay, at least 1 or 2 examples of that, and for international airports. Okay, and what are the conditions that has been necessary for the construction of airports? The environmental conditions should be favorable. Then you should have a vast flat level land. Okay, so those conditions are necessary. At least 2 to 3 points has to be remembered. And then you have to remember the advantages and disadvantages of air transport also, which is very important. Okay, and beside this, another mode of transportation is pipelines, and in pipelines you have to know at least the advantages and disadvantages, and what are the commodities that is being transported through the pipelines, like the liquids. Water has been transported. You have petroleum that has been transported. Milk is also being transported. Natural gas. So these are the things that you have to remember from this transport. Okay, then you come to communication. Okay, when you do the communication, definition of a communication is very important. Two types of communication, mass and personal communication. You have to go through that. Okay, and then what are the at least 2-3 points that you have to remember about the mass communication, what comes under the mass communication, like newspapers and radios and all that. Okay, and personal communication like mobiles and all that, you have to remember that. Okay, so that is transport and communication. Industries, industries is a vast chapter. Okay, and out here you have to know the different type of industries, agro-based, mineral-based and all that. The most important thing is that they will ask you definitions like what is a basic industry, or why it is known as a key industry, like iron and steel industry is also known as a basic industry or a key industry. The reason behind is without iron and steel industry, no other industries can flourish. That is why it is known as a basic or a key industry. Okay, then you have to know what do you mean by a footloose industry. Okay, weight losing industry. Okay, private sector industry, public sector industry, cooperatives. So all these definitions. Okay, there are certain terms like this and definitions and all that. You have to go through that. Okay, I'm not saying that these are the questions, but sometimes commonly asked as key industry or a basic industry. So go through that. Okay, then you have different types of industries like cotton textiles and jute textiles and all those industries. You have to go through. At least you should remember 2 states in India where it has been found. Under this one important sector under the industry is ready-made garments. Okay, popularity of this ready-made garment, please go through this. Okay, the most important thing about this ready-made garment is, like, number one, it provides employment opportunities, and number two is that it brings foreign exchange to the countries. Okay, go through that. Then you come to tourism industry, also same thing. Tourism industry, you have to know the definition of the word tourism. Okay, and then one is for tourism is one is for pleasure. Okay, and the other one is other tourism is for pilgrimage. Okay, and the significance or the importance of this tourism industry that we are talking about in India started with pilgrimage. Okay, in the beginning people used to travel from one place to another for pilgrimage, but later on it was for pleasure also. People started moving from one place to another place and all that. So at least out here in this chapter in tourism, they might ask you, okay, to choose any 1 or 2 places of tourist centers. Maybe they might tell you from the Himalayan areas, or from the plains, or from peninsular regions and all that, or from the coastal areas, and describe it. Okay, so these are the type of question that you might get from this chapter, and from this unit you will get 2 sets of questions. Okay, the next one is the last unit, and that is the regional economic development or the case studies. Now I would suggest you all to attempt question from this chapter, because most of the questions are direct. Okay, if you know this entire chapter thoroughly, you'll be able to answer the questions. Okay, so the possible important repeated questions from this chapter is, the definition of the word development. What do you mean by a planning region? What are the different hierarchy of plannings, micro, meso, and macro? The definition of this. Okay, then you come to the 3 case studies. Okay, questions are always been there from Chhattisgarh, Bangalore, and Haldia. These are the 3 case studies that you have to study, and every year questions are there from Chhattisgarh also, Bangalore also, Haldia also. Okay, so when you do Chhattisgarh, one of the most important is that Chhattisgarh's location. Now you have to remember that Chhattisgarh has been carved out of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, So the locational setting of Chhattisgarh is very important. Another important activities of the people living in Chhattisgarh is mining. So when you're doing mining, different types of minerals are being mined in Chhattisgarh, like iron ore, you have coal, okay, you have gold, and all this gold is on to certain amount gold is also been extracted from there. Bauxite is also there. So mining, give importance to mining. Then you come to agriculture. Different types of crops are being grown, but one of the most important crop that is being grown in Chhattisgarh is rice. And because of the large production of rice in Chhattisgarh, Chhattisgarh has always been referred to as a rice bowl of India. Okay. Then beside this, another important, industry that has been there in this Chhattisgarh is the silk industry. Then you have to know about this mulberry and non-mulberry silk that has been produced there. Okay, and why Chhattisgarh is known as a rice bowl? Because of the larger production of rice. Okay, Chhattisgarh, these are the important thing about Chhattisgarh. And then you come to Bangalore. Now, the first thing is, under this one common question that has been asked, why it is known as an electronic capital of India. Okay, so, and what are the factors that has helped Bangalore to gain this, importance of being an electronic capital of India? So you have to remember that at least 4 points have been there. Like you should remember that it has been supported by the state government, and the industry that has been there in Bangalore has been supported by the state government as well as the central government. Number one is that. Number two is that it has been located in Peninsula in the right place where, easy accessibility to different area has been there. Okay, and there are a large number of multinational companies also which is ready to finance. Okay, so these are some of the reasons behind why Bangalore has emerged as an electronic capital of India. Okay, so this is the common question out in Bangalore. Okay, Bangalore. Then the next one is Haldia. Haldia is another important port that you have. Okay, it is very close to the port of Kolkata, and one of the most common question that has been asked is that why do you think so the port of Haldia has been set up? The port of Haldia has been set up to ease the congestion that is taking place in the port of Kolkata, because in the earlier times, in the eastern regions, okay, port of Kolkata was the only port. And remember, the port of Kolkata is located at the mouth of the Hooghly River, and since it is at the mouth of the Hooghly River, it's faces a problem of silting. So because of this silting that is taking places, big ships cannot enter the port of Kolkata. So desilting has to be done. So in order to ease this congestion and the traffic that has been there in the port of Kolkata, another port very closer to it has been located, and that's called the port of Haldia. Okay. Another important thing about this port of Haldia is that whatever import and export that the port of Kolkata does, the Haldia port is also doing the same thing. Okay, big vessels are coming to the port of Haldia. Okay, and you have to, when you're doing this port, okay, when they're associated with different ports of a country, you always come across this term called a hinterland. A hinterland outer means a land which is being served by a port. And just remember, the port of Haldia and the port of Kolkata has the largest hinterland. Like when I say this, it means the goods that is coming to the port of Kolkata is not only benefiting the state of West Bengal, okay, but it is also helping its neighboring states like Orissa, Chhattisgarh, okay, Jharkhand. Then you can also go up to Madhya Pradesh also, Uttar Pradesh also, Bihar also, okay, and then not to forget our neighboring countries also, which is also being served by this port. The goods are coming there, and through important towns and cities, it is being going to different areas. Okay, so that is the hinterland, or land which is being served by a port. So these are the possible important questions. Okay, and when I'm talking about this, possible questions from regional, please emphasize on this macro, micro, meso, and all this region. This is important. Planning regions are also very important. Definition of planning regions important. Okay, so this is unit 5. So with this, we come to the end of all the 20 chapters that have been there in the chapters, and that is there in the syllabus, sorry. And how many questions are there, how many questions you get from each unit, I have also told you all that. Okay, so with this, you come to an end of this chapters. Now there are certain things, let me just explain you all those certain things. Like for example, remember I told you from the unit 1, when you're doing this chapter on climate, there are either climatic graph like this has been given or climatic table. Now there are around 7 climatic graphs like this in your textbook, okay. Now you don't have to go through other graphs, but the 7 climatic graph that has been there in the back of your text, that chapter, okay. So you have to go through those graphs. The graphs will be given like this, okay. And the question, moment you see this graph, you don't have to panic. The question that they will ask you is very simple. First, they might tell you to identify the station. Like for example, if you look at the first map, first graph out here, okay, now you have to identify this area. Now just remember, in this graph, the temperature line, which is the black color, single line, this shows the temperature, and this boxes, the bars out here, shows the rainfall. So looking at the rainfall and looking at the temperature line, okay, and this temperature line is going below also, -5, -10, -15, it's going down. So looking at this, you can conclude by saying that this graph is showing you about or telling you about a station called Leh, okay. So Leh, like, I'm telling you that these 7 graphs are there in the textbook only, okay. So you just have to know the names. So if they give you a question, they will give you mostly the graphs from the textbook itself only. So looking at this graph, you'll know that the place, because it's going minus. Look at the temperature extreme over there. It's coming to 15, not beyond 15 also. Summer temperatures or not. And then it's going below, the minus. So that means this is a graph of a Leh. Now looking at the second graph out here, you just see the temperature line, okay. Summer temperatures going above 35 degrees Celsius. Understood? And winter temperatures also around 15, 18 degrees Celsius. Okay. That means the temperature during the summers are very high, and during the winters it's low. Maybe around 13 out here, okay, 14 degrees here, or during December it's coming out to 6 degrees Celsius, which means summers are very hot and winters are very cold. And looking at the rainfall out here, rainfall is more in the month of June, July, August and September. So looking at this graph, you can conclude that this area may be Delhi because of high temperature and high summer temperature and low winter temperature. Okay, so if a graph like this has been given, these are the type of question that they might ask you. Or the first is they might ask you to identify the station. Secondly, what they might ask you is which month the temperature is very high. So you can just see which month the temperature is high. It's usually in the month of May the temperature is high. Which month the temperature is low, especially in the month of January. In this graph, temperature is low. Which month rainfall is very high? So July, the rainfall is very high. Understood? And November, no rainfall at all. So these are the common questions when a graph like this has been given. You don't have to panic. The questions are going to be very simple. Okay. Okay. Next is you have to know the chapter climate only, which you have done in class 10 also. They might give you a station like this, station A, station B, with temperatures in degrees Celsius. Out here, the rainfall has been given in millimeters. Mostly it is in centimeters only. Okay. So station A and station B has been given out here. So what they might ask you is, number 1, they might ask you to find the range of temperature. Temperature for station A or station B. Okay. Now if it is for station A, what we have to do is, for range, highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. So now for station A, highest temperature, just see highest temperature is in the month of June, 39 degrees Celsius. Okay. So the highest temperature is 39 degrees. And the lowest temperature, I think it is January with 12 degrees Celsius. So if you subtract this, it's coming to 7. Okay. think it's 27 degree Celsius. So the range of temperature is 27 degree Celsius, highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. Okay, so out here this is a common question, range. Okay, so when they ask you questions like to find the range of temperature, to find the rainfall and all that, units are very important. If you don't write the units, you will not get the marks. Okay, so one common question is to find the range of temperature. For station A, it may be for station B. Then they might ask you which is the hottest month, which is the coldest month, which is the rainiest month, driest month. Okay, then they might ask you in which month the rainfall is very high. So it is mostly in the month of June, July, August and September. Okay, so these are the common questions that they might ask you if a climatic table like this has been given. Okay, these are the common question. Another important question along with the range of temperature, another important question that they might ask you is that which wind is responsible? Which wind is responsible for giving rainfall? Rainfall to station A or station B. Now in this case, now what you have to remember is that when you do the chapter on climate, I hope you remember that in the month of June, July, August and September, the wind which is being blowing is the southwest monsoon wind. Okay, then you have October, November, you have the retreating southwest monsoon. Then you have December, January and Feb, you have the northeast monsoon. Okay, you have to remember these three. And if a question comes, which wind is responsible for giving rainfall to station A or station B? So you just remember, you just see the rainfall. The rainfall in station A is more in June, July, August and September. So June, July, August and September, it is the southwest monsoon wind. So station A is getting rainfall from the southwest monsoon wind. Now if you look at station B is also getting rainfall in the month of, high rainfall in the month of June, July, August and September, which also means it is the southwest monsoon wind. But supposing if the rainfall is more in the month of October, November, then it's going to be retreating southwest monsoon. If the figure is more in December, Jan and Feb, it is going to be northeast monsoon. Understood? So these are the common questions that they might ask you. Okay, and another common question that they might ask you is, looking at this station A and station B, can you tell me or can you give reason and explain that which station is closer to the sea and which one is far away from the sea? Now, when you do this chapter on climate, now remember, you have to know, I think the teacher must have explained it to you, that distance from the sea affects the climate of India. Okay. So, if you look at station A, if you look at station B, now to find out whether A is close or B is close or A is far or B is far from the sea, what you have to do is take station A, highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. In that case, you had got 27 degrees Celsius. Now, for station B, you take highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. So, the highest temperature in station B is 30 and the lowest temperature, I think it's 24. So, answer is 6 degrees Celsius. That means out here in station A, the difference that you got was 27 degrees Celsius, and in station B, the difference that you got was 6 degrees Celsius. So now, whether A is close or whether B is close, what we have to do is, if the figure is more, like 27, it is far. If the figure is less, now you know it is close to the sea. Is it clear? So this is another question that they might ask you. Beside the common question like name the hottest month, the coldest month and all that, Three important questions are very important. One is to find the range of temperature. To find the range of temperature, you have to know the highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. Then, which wind is responsible? Now, when they ask you about the wind which is responsible for giving rainfall, in that case, you have to see the rainfall, the table where the figures and the rainfall has been given. So, you just see which month rainfall is high. And I've already told you June, July, August, September, it's southwest. October, November is retreating southwest monsoon, and December, January, Feb is the northeast monsoon. That's another question. And the other one is, if two stations like this has been given, they might ask you whether station A is close to the sea or station B is closer to the sea. In that case, what you have to do, you take the highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. You have, in other words, you can say that you have to find the range of temperature for both the station. High temperature minus the low temperature. Answer in case of station A is 27. Highest temperature minus the lowest temperature in case of station B is 6 degrees Celsius. Okay, so whichever figure is more, it is far from the sea, and whichever figure is less, it is closer to the sea. So these are the common questions that they might ask you from this climatic table. Okay, and the next one outer is, this is from agriculture chapter. Okay, now sometimes question like this will be given. Study the data given below in the table and answer the following questions. Like, there are two crops, one is wheat and the other one is rice. Now in the first column they have shown you the area in lakh hectares. Next they have shown you the production, and the other table they have shown you the yield. Okay, now for each crop they have shown 2 years, 1950, 51 and 2011, 2012. In this also 50, 51, 11, 12. 50, 51, 11, 12. Okay. Now, in first case, that is area, wheat, 1950, 51, the area was 97 lakh hectares. In 2011, 2012, for wheat, it was 299. Same goes with rice, 308,401. Okay. Now, next is production. This year, now 50, 51, production was 65 lakh hectares, in lakh hectares production, and this is 939, 206,1043. And yield per kg per hectare in 50, 51 for wheat was 663, and for 2011, 2012, wheat was 3140. Rice was 868, 2372 in 2011 and 2012. Now, when table like this has been given, okay, now what you have to know, when table like this has been given, what you have to remember is that there's nothing confusing out here. Okay, the simple question that they might ask you is, what is the increase in the production of wheat and rice in 1950, 51, 2011 and 2012. So, if they ask you about the production, you just see the production table. So, what you have to do is, you take 939, okay, and minus 65. Now, supposing if they have asked you about the production, simple, what you have to do is, supposing if they ask you about the wheat, okay, so what to do is, you take 939, subtract that by 65, okay, and then you get the answer for, I think 874 for wheat. For rice, it is 1043 minus 206, and the answer that you get $837. Okay, got it? So, for production, wheat is this much, rice is this much. So, what you have to write is that the increase in the production of wheat and rice in 1951, 50, 51, 2011, 2012 is 874, and for rice is 837. You just have to take the production table, highest figure minus the lowest figure, the answer is there. Okay. Supposing if they ask you for yield, yield is also same. 19 for wheat, 1950, 51, 2011, 2012, 3140 minus 663, answer that you get is the yield for wheat. 2372 minus 868, the answer that you get is going to be for rice. So the only thing that you have to do is don't panic when the table and the figures like this has been given. The only thing is, if they're asking you about the production, go to the production table, subtract it. If they ask you about the yield, go to the yield, subtract the figures, highest minus the lowest. If they're asking about the area, subtract highest minus the lowest. That is the only thing that you have to do. So these are also common type of question that you might see in your question paper. Okay, I'm not saying these are the tables and these are the thing that is going to come, but if you go through the 10 years question paper, or if you're going through the question papers, you will find climatic table, you'll find this type of table, and you'll find a climatic graph. Okay, then just there's an ISC specimen paper. This is the link. Just go through this. Okay, and then you will find the specimen paper that has been given. Okay, so some years question papers are also been given. You can just go through that. Okay, so with this, I finished with the revision and the recap of important things for your ISC Geography 2020. And once again, I would like to tell you all that whatever possible question that I have written out here does not mean that these are the questions that's going to be there in your question paper. Don't make a mistake by just going through those topics only. Okay, those are the common things, common question that has been repeated several times. That is what I have emphasized. And beside those possible questions, I have also discussed other the questions. I have not mentioned that, but I have discussed those questions also. Please go through that. And once again, let me tell you, in geography, for objectives, 20 marks, the entire 20 chapters has to be read. Okay, you have to go through all the 20 chapters. You cannot afford to skip any chapters for that objective question and answers. And the choice part, the part 2, where you have a choice, where you just have to do 4 sets of questions. In that, I have given you the units, and I have told you from each unit how many questions are going to be there. According to that, you can choose it. Okay, and again, don't just blindly learn the possible question that I have mentioned in this classes. Okay, please don't go through only those points. You have to go through the entire thing. Okay, and anyway, best of luck, do well. And my one thing that I would like to tell you is that when you get your question papers, please read your question paper properly. Think and then write. Don't panic. Because sometimes in the beginning also I told you, sometimes when you get your question paper, sometimes you become blank. Okay, so read the question again and again. You will understand the question, and then you can write it down. There is no such thing that questions was out of syllabus. Nothing out of syllabus comes. You have to try to understand the question, and the question that comes is going to be from the textbook, from the syllabus that you have studied. Thank you.